For the last 20 years or so, I feel like the cruise industry has been playing um, this very specific, very loud game of mine is bigger than yours.
Oh, absolutely. The floating city era?
Right. It was all about scale.
Yeah.
Like if one line built a ship with a park, the next one built a ship with a literal mall inside.
And then came the go-kart track.
Go-kart tracks, the robotic bartenders, the indoor skydiving. It was this total one-size-fits-all approach where they just tried to cram every single demographic.
From toddlers to retirees.
Yeah, from toddlers in swim diapers to retirees playing bridge onto the exact same massive vessel and just kind of hoped everyone got along.
It was essentially the department store model of travel. Everything for everyone all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the stack of research and the maritime reports we have on the desk for this deep dive, that era isn't just fading, it is effectively over.
Over. Completely. We are watching the industry fracture into these incredibly specific niches, and that's exactly what we're unpacking today. We aren't looking at cruising as this giant monolith anymore. We've got 3 very specific stories to get into.
Very different stories.
Right. One from a shipyard in Germany, one from a port in northern China, and one from the headquarters of Virgin Voyages. And together they show how the industry is hyper-specializing. It's no longer about building the biggest ship, it's about building the exact right ship for a very specific slice of humanity.
And the contrasts are just stark. I mean, we have Carnival basically admitting that a roller coaster might not be the best use of deck space. We have a Chinese operator turning a mineral transport logistics network into a tourism empire.
Which is wild.
Right? And then we have the adults-only model making so much money that it is literally forcing legacy lines to rewrite their own rulebooks.
So let's start with the hardware, because I know you love the engineering side of things. We are going to Papenburg, Germany.
Ah, the Meyer Werft shipyard.
Yes, Meyer Werft. If you, listener, have ever seen those crazy photos of massive cruise ships being built indoors, it's usually there. And they are currently putting together the Carnival Festival.
Which is a massive deal. This is the 4th ship in their Excel class. Now, usually by the time you get to the 4th ship in a class, the excitement kind of dies down a bit because it's just a copy-paste of the previous ones.
Right, just stamping them out.
Exactly. But the festival is different. They are making significant changes to the physical structure itself.
And the construction updates coming out of Papenburg are pretty wild.
Yeah.
They just hit a major milestone. They lifted the bridge into place. But in the shipyard, they don't call it the bridge. They call it Block 68.
Block 68. It sounds so mundane. But you have to understand the scale here. The bridge of a modern megaship isn't just a room with steering wheel and some windows.
No, it's huge.
It is a massive multi-deck slice of the ship's superstructure. It houses all the navigation equipment, the captain's quarters, critical safety systems. It is incredibly heavy.
How heavy are we actually talking?
Well, to lift it onto the hull, they had to use a specific 800-ton crane called the Kaiser Radler.
The Imperial Eagle.
Yeah,
That is
well,
a serious name for a piece of machinery.
It absolutely needs to be. The block itself weighs roughly the same as 500 mid-size sedans.
Wow.
And they aren't just lifting it up and dropping it on top. They have to thread a needle with it. The shipyard released some data on the precision involved here, and it is mind-boggling. They positioned this massive steel block within 3/10,000ths of 1% of the ship's total length.
Okay, hang on. 3/10,000ths of 1%.
Yeah.
Why does it need to be that precise? I mean,
Yeah.
It's a ship that's, what, 345.39 meters long? If they're off by an inch or two, does it really matter?
It matters immensely. You have to think of a ship like a living organism. It has veins and arteries.
Like plumbing and stuff.
Exactly. Pipes for water sewage fuel and massive bundles of electrical cabling running from the engine room all the way up to the bridge. And these are all prefabricated inside the blocks. If Block 68 is off by 2 inches, those pipes don't line up.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you can't just shove a steel block into place. If you miss that alignment, you are talking about weeks of cutting steel and re-welding to fix the connections. It's a hugely expensive disaster.
So it's not just welding a box on top. It's literally connecting the brain to the nervous system.
Precisely. And they nailed it. And they're moving incredibly fast, too. The report from EMS Precab.
They're the ones building the cabins, right?
Right, the cabin builders. They reported they've already finished 949 crew cabins in just 25 weeks.
That seems insanely fast. How do you build almost 1,000 bedrooms in 6 months?
Modular construction. They build the cabins in a factory nearby. The beds, the lights, the carpets, everything is installed, and then they just slide them into the ship like drawers in a dresser.
Wow.
And now they're moving to serial production of the passenger cabins, over 2,600 of them for a ship that will have a maximum capacity of over 6,600 guests. It's roughly 183,000 gross tons.
But here is where the story shifts, from cool engineering to actual business strategy. You mentioned earlier that this is the fourth XL-class ship. The previous three, the Mardi Gras, the Celebration, the Jubilee, they all have one very specific, very famous feature on the top deck.
The Bolt.
Right, the Bolt. The first roller coaster at sea.
It was a massive deal.
It was huge news. Every commercial Carnival ran showed people screaming on a roller coaster in the middle of the ocean. It was their main differentiator. But on the festival, it's gone.
Completely scrapped.
So why? Did it break? Was it unsafe?
No, it worked fine. But you have to look at the economics of a roller coaster versus what they're replacing it with. A roller coaster has terrible throughput. You can only get so many people on it per hour. It breaks down sometimes. It requires intense maintenance. And honestly, once you ride it once or twice, are you really going to ride it every single day of your 7-day cruise?
Probably not. It's totally a one-and-done kind of thing.
Exactly. It's a marketing hook to get you to book the trip, but it doesn't keep you occupied for hours once you're on board. Now look at what they are replacing it with. An expanded Carnival Waterworks park, and more importantly, what they're calling immersive music spaces.
Immersive music spaces. Which kind of sounds like marketing speak for a really nice bar with a band.
It is, but think about the revenue generation. A music venue holds hundreds of people at once. They sit there for 2, maybe 3 hours. They buy drinks, they socialize, they come back the next night because the band is playing a different set.
Right, the repeat value is way higher.
Carnival president Christine Duffy called music the universal language, but the business translation here is that music is a sticky amenity.
Sticky.
Yeah, it keeps people in the revenue-generating zones of the ship much longer than a 2-minute roller coaster ride ever could.
That is fascinating. So they hooked us with a thrill ride on the first 3 ships, established the whole brand identity, and now they're optimizing the 4th ship for actual guest behavior and onboard revenue.
Precisely. They are shifting from look at this crazy mechanical thing we have to look at this vibe we created. And for you, the listener, this ship launches on May 19th, 2027 out of Port Canaveral.
Doing the Caribbean runs, right?
Yep. Classic Caribbean and Bahamas, including stops at the new Celebration Key. So if you want the coaster, you book the Mardi Gras. If you want the immersive music and the huge water park, you book the festival. It's specialization within the exact same fleet.
Okay, so that's the American giant tweaking its formula.
Yeah.
Now, I want to fly halfway across the world to China because there is a fascinating pivot happening there that I don't think many people in the West are really paying attention to.
Oh, the Tianjin Oriental International Cruise story. And if you thought Carnival swapping out a roller coaster was a big retrofit, wait until you hear what these guys are doing.
Right, because they aren't building a new ship.
No, they bought a used one. They acquired a vessel they're calling the Vision, which they delayed the maiden voyage of to March 3rd, 2026. But any cruise nerd listening to this will know this ship by its former name, the Costa Magica.
Oh, wow, the Costa Magica. That was built back in 2004.
Yep.
It's a Joe Farkas design.
Yeah.
Very colorful, very Italian, lots of neon and distinct shapes.
It is a very, very specific aesthetic, and right now it is sitting in the Qingdao Beihai heavy industry shipyard undergoing a massive transformation. They aren't just changing the carpet in the hallways, they are fundamentally reprogramming the ship.
Reprogramming it for who, though?
For what they call the Northern Strategy. See, when we talk about the Chinese cruise market, everyone always talks about Shanghai.
Right.
Shanghai is basically the Miami of China. It's huge, it's glitzy, and it is absolutely packed with competition. Royal Caribbean is there, Adora Cruise is there. It's a shark tank.
So Tianjin Oriental is basically saying we don't want to fight the sharks.
Exactly. They are moving north. They are basing the Vision in Tianjin and their other ship, the Dream, in places like Dalian and Qingdao. They are targeting a massive population in northern China that is vastly underserved.
It's like an American cruise line deciding to just skip Miami and Fort Lauderdale entirely to dominate the market out of Philadelphia or Boston.
That is a perfect analogy. And because they're targeting a totally different demographic, specifically multi-generational Chinese families, the hardware of the ship has to change. You can't just run a loud Italian party ship for a Chinese grandmother and her grandkids.
So what does that refit actually look like in practice?
It's deep. They're ripping out bars that would be super popular in Europe and replacing them with traditional tea houses or mahjong rooms. The dining spaces are getting a complete overhaul to feature local northern Chinese cuisine. But honestly, the most interesting part of the story isn't the ship itself, it's the owner.
Tianjin Oriental Shipping. Yeah, I looked them up with the notes. They aren't a hospitality company.
Not at all.
They move minerals. They're an industrial shipping firm.
Which sounds incredibly odd, Rady. You'd think, what do guys who move coal and iron ore know about running a floating resort?
I mean, yeah, it seems like a completely different skill set.
Yeah. It is on the surface. But think about the underlying supply chain. A cruise line is essentially a massive logistics company that also happens to serve food and entertainment. Tianjin Oriental already has the docks. They have the fuel contracts, the maritime tracking systems, the relationships with the port authorities.
They have all the hard infrastructure figured out.
Exactly. Buying the ship and hiring hotel directors is the easy part for them. It shows how incredibly diverse capital is entering the cruise space right now because they see the profit potential. And they're expanding fast, too. They have the Vision, the Dream, and they're introducing another ship called the Ideal, which is formerly intended for the Neonix brand.
And part of that profit potential comes from removing friction for the passenger. You mentioned something in the research about visa-free travel. Can we break that down? Why is that such a massive unlock for this market?
This is the killer app of their entire business model. They are running 6-day itineraries to South Korea, places like Busan, Jeju, Incheon. Now, typically, international travel for a Chinese citizen can involve complex visa applications fees, long waiting periods. It's a ton of friction.
Right. Nobody wants to go stand at an embassy just to take a family vacation.
Exactly. But these specific cruise itineraries are designed around visa-free travel. You show up at the port in Tianjin with your passport, you get on the ship, you visit Korea, you come back. It turns an international vacation into something as easy as taking a bus to the next town.
That is huge for multi-generational families.
It is a game changer, and the pricing reflects that exact accessibility. Their entry-level fares are starting around 2,499 Chinese yuan.
Which is very affordable.
Highly affordable. They are going for sheer volume. They want the first-time cruiser, the retirees, the huge families who have never been to sea before. While Carnival is fighting tooth and nail for the premium traveler in the Caribbean, Tianjin Oriental is building a regional bus service at sea. And I honestly mean that as a compliment. It's incredibly smart business.
It really highlights that there isn't just one single cruise market. There are dozens of them operating simultaneously. But speaking of markets, let's pivot to the one that is currently just printing money. The one that explicitly bans the exact target audience of that Tianjin ship.
The adults-only movement.
We have to talk about Virgin Voyages. Because every time we look at their earnings reports lately, the graph just goes straight up.
It's unbelievable. They just reported that January 2026 was the highest booking month in the company's entire history.
Wow.
And 2025 saw a nearly 30% increase in gross ticket revenue and a 20% rise in overall bookings. But the key phrase they use in the release is that their ships are sailing at, quote, full commercial load.
Full commercial load. Translate that for us. Does that just mean every single cabin is full?
It means every cabin is full, yes, but it implies a lot more than just headcount. It means they are hitting their absolute maximum revenue potential per passenger. See, a ship full of families is great, but kids don't buy $15 martinis. They don't sit down and play blackjack for 3 hours.
Right. They don't book $200 spa treatments.
Bingo. A ship with 2,500 adults generates vastly more onboard revenue than a ship with 2,000 adults and 500 kids. The profit margins on an adults-only ship are naturally just so much better if you can actually fill the rooms.
And Virgin is clearly filling them.
They are packing them in. Their CEO, Nirmal Sivaramutu, said, quote, "Kid-free travel is not a niche category, it's a movement." And looking at the broader economic numbers, he's not wrong. The adult-only travel market is projected to literally double from $9.2 billion in 2024 to $18.1 billion by 2033.
I have to admit, as a parent who loves my kids dearly, the idea of a week where I literally cannot hear a single tantrum at the pool is very, very appealing. It kind of sells itself.
It really does. People just want to switch off and reconnect.
Yeah.
And Virgin has finally completed their initial fleet rollout. The fourth ship, the Brilliant Lady, launched late in 2025, so they now have 4 identical sisters sailing globally: Scarlet, Valiant, Resilient, and Brilliant.
And they really lean into the model, too. No main dining room, no buffet, over 20 included eateries, hammocks on the terraces.
Exactly. But because this model is working so undeniably well, the competition is starting to panic. Or at least they are starting to aggressively copy it.
So who is jumping on the bandwagon here?
Oceania Cruises just made a massive move. Effective for all bookings, after January 7th, 2026, their entire fleet is going 18 plus.
The whole fleet. That is a huge risk for a legacy line to just cut out families completely.
It is a calculated risk. They looked at their internal demographics and realized, we aren't really serving families that well anyway, so let's just fully lean into the adult market. Even Carnival, the fun ship line, the one with the Dr. Seuss breakfasts, they are adding specific, kid-free, transatlantic and Mediterranean voyages in 2026.
Just dipping their toe in the water.
Right, and you see major design changes too. Lines like Norwegian with their Spice H2O areas and Royal Caribbean with the Solarium, they are physically expanding their adult-only zones even on their giant family-focused ships.
Oh, wait, I saw a counterpoint in the source material today. P&O Cruises. They are doing the exact opposite.
Yes, and this is why I love following this industry right now. It's 4D chess. P&O announced they are actually opening their traditionally adult-only ships, the Aurora and the Arcadia, to families starting in December 2026.
That seems crazy. Everyone else is rushing toward no kids, and P&O is standing there saying, bring them all on.
It seems counterintuitive, but think about the market dynamics for a second. If Virgin Oceania Viking Saga, if they are all viciously fighting for the adults-only crowd, that space is suddenly getting very crowded. Meanwhile, if you are a family who wants a premium traditional British cruise experience...
Like not a mega ship with water slides, but a real classic ship.
Exactly. Where do you go?
You really don't have many options left.
Exactly. P&O sees a massive vacuum. They are zagging while everyone else zigs. They are betting that there is a premium family market that is being completely ignored by this gold rush to ban kids. It's a brilliant countermove.
It all comes back to that main theme of specialization. It feels like the days of just calling a travel agent and booking a quote-unquote cruise are totally gone.
Yeah.
You have to really know exactly what you are buying.
You do. You have to audit your own desires as a traveler. Because if you book the Carnival Festival expecting an adrenaline roller coaster, you'll be disappointed. If you book the Tianjin Oriental ship expecting a quiet library and a burger, you'll be shocked by the bustling mahjong rooms and the regional cuisine.
And if you book Virgin expecting a traditional captain's dinner in a tuxedo, you're going to be very confused by the drag brunch.
Right. It puts the burden on the consumer to be informed, but it also means you are so much more likely to find a product that actually fits you perfectly. The average cruise passenger just doesn't exist anymore. The industry finally realized that trying to please everyone usually results in a mediocre experience for everyone.
So we have the vibe shift in Germany moving from mechanical thrills to social spaces. We have the regional utility and family focus in China. And we have the adult escape going global with Virgin. Before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to ask you, where does this go next? If adults only is now a mainstream category, what is the next hyper niche we're going to see?
I've been thinking about this a lot, actually. The shipbuilding technology is allowing for smaller, much more efficient ships now. I genuinely wonder if we will see the rise of the dedicated remote work ship.
Oh, like a floating digital nomad colony.
Exactly. Rip out the giant casino, which honestly millennials and Gen Z aren't using as much anyway, and put in a massive high-tech co-working space. Give it fiber optic satellite internet. Have the ship stay in port for 3 or 4 days at a time so you can work your regular hours during the day and explore a new city at night.
I would sign up for that in a heartbeat. No vacation days used, but I wake up in Lisbon. Sign me up immediately.
Right. Or maybe even ships dedicated to hyper-specific music genres. We have theme cruises now, like the 80s rock cruise, but those are just temporary charter rentals on regular ships. Could we see a small ship that is permanently built as a jazz club at sea, designed acoustically from the hull up for that exact purpose?
Wow. The segmentation really is just getting started. It is such a fascinating time to watch these billion-dollar bets play out across the globe.
It certainly is.
Well, listener, I want you to think about it. If you had a boarding pass in your hand tomorrow, which gangway are you walking up? Are you heading for the high-tech musical party on the Festival, the easy access family trip on the Vision, or the kid-free sanctuary on the Brilliant Lady? Let us know what you think. Thanks for diving in with us today, and we will catch you on the next one.